Welcome to another edition of the Chief Audit Executive Briefing. Hey, this week I wanted to talk a little bit about Richard Chambers' most recent blog post. It's called The Road Ahead for Internal Audit, 5 Bold Predictions for the 2020s. So, first off, I'm not so sure that these are really that bold of statements, but I wanted to go through and just kind of talk to you about each one of them because I think that really, they are things that you should be considering, especially as we're moving into 2020. Now, the first one that he talked about is what he calls the rise of Uber auditing. And what that's meaning is it's referring to the fact that a lot of jobs in internal audit may end up becoming short-term contracts, freelance type work, which is normal. I mean, that's expected. We've been seeing this trend for quite a while. And of course, this is also going to affect our profession as well. Now, with this, a couple things for you to think about. So the first thing is, yes, you may start using more outside contractors to be able to help you in your auditing. And this makes a lot of sense, especially the more specialized we get in some of the particular audits. That's probably going to be a good opportunity for you to bring in people to help you on some of these more specific type of projects that require a higher level of expertise. So that's going to be normal. And again, I think you'll be seeing this, but also with this, I want to bring up another point that, again, we've been seeing a lot too. So he makes reference to Uber. And what we've been seeing in the news as well is even though a lot of companies are trying to move from employees to independent contractors, there's been a lot of companies that have gotten in trouble for that. And so this can also relate to a risk in your organization as well, is to make sure that you are actually doing what you need to do so that it doesn't come back and bite you in the butt later on. It's the independent contractor is getting to be a very complex area, and especially because there have been some new laws and other things that have come out. There's been one in California, and you're going to see more coming out throughout the next year or so, because usually once California does something, many of the other states start to do that as well. So I think that's going to raise a risk for most of your organizations that you're going to want to start thinking about your independent contractor relationships and make sure that you are modifying based on some of those new laws or regulations. The next point was about data ethics and artificial intelligence governance will become the next decade's culture audits. Again, I know a lot of people are still struggling with trying to do culture audits, and we're not really there yet. But I do agree with him that things around data ethics, around privacy, are going to be more and more important in the future. In fact, again, there was just a recent bill that was proposed in Congress this week to actually set up a separate privacy regulator to be able to help manage privacy around social networks and some of the things like that. So that is going to be an area, again, privacy will continue to be a bigger and bigger thing. Now, the third point was the torch will be passed to new tech-savvy and tech-fearless generation. I don't think there's anything bold about that. I think we've known that for a long time. We need to improve the IT skills in our audit departments because more and more of what we do is in technology and requires those skill sets. The fourth one is about the image of internal auditors as bean counters will finally end. I hope that is the case. I am probably not as optimistic about that as what he may be portraying there, and here's the reason why. A lot of internal auditors are still focusing on accounting, finance, financial reporting controls, internal controls around financial reporting. We've been stuck in that for a long time since SOX, and we do have to break out of it. And I think that we can and we should. And the way to really be doing that is through more risk-based internal auditing. And again, not in the way that a lot of times the IIA talks about it, because they're talking about risks usually at a very low level in the organization. But the way that risk-based auditing was intended to begin with, that those of us in the profession that have been talking about this for the last 10 or 15 years, is where we're focusing more on the objectives of the organization. We're partnering more with management, and I think that is where that's going to help us to get out of that bean counter mentality. Is as we are helping management in auditing those areas that relate to the key objectives of the organization, and really doing risk-based internal auditing the way that I teach it. I think that really will help us kind of get rid of that stigma from a bean counter perspective. But it means that we're going to have to do a lot of things different in the future. The fifth one is around scandals will heighten awareness that internal audit serves the public interest. Now, there's going to be a lot of other scandals that come out. We're due for another big issue where there's lots of corporate failures, other governance issues, and scandals that will come out. Now, I don't think that the scandals by themselves will turn the public's attention and say, oh, we need more internal auditing. I think that's something that we are going to have to help with. And again, that's where risk-based internal auditing can come in and help. As you are seeing other companies going through these scandals, and going to your management, trying to help figure out, do we have some of the same issues here? What can we do to try to help, change or do better so that we don't get pulled into those same sorts of scandals? Some of that goes back again to like what I was talking about before with the independent contractor status, and like I said, there will be more scandals. There will be more regulation. There will be more laws that come out of it. Whether or not internal audit is viewed by the public as kind of the savior on the white horse to come in and save everything, I'm not sure about that. But again, we need to be trying to do that and to try to help out so that we can end up providing more value to our organizations. Because ultimately, unless we are doing that, unless we are actually focusing on the key objectives of the organization and helping the organization to meet those objectives, showing that we can actually do that, and then really moving into that trusted advisor role, that's where we really can help out in our organization. And again, I'll talk more about trusted advisor because, again, I think a lot of times people end up being either frustrated, ignored, or tolerated instead of being seen as a trusted advisor. But I don't have time to talk about that this week. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts around Richard's most recent blog. And with that, I wish you a great week ahead and look forward to talking to you next week. See ya.